Parish President's remarks report. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just wait a second here to get that open. All right, we'll start with our debris deadline. As you recall, our original debris deadline was December 5th. That deadline was to put out the debris so we could start our final pass. A lot of residents called in. I know our council members received calls because I got calls from our council members that a lot of residents had not been able to start the construction process, whether that be gutting or repairs to their home, or maybe even cleaning up their yard because they were still waiting on their insurance company to give them their check. And being that we don't want to leave any residents kind of out in the cold per se, and we're still within the debris window that FEMA allows, we decided to extend that deadline by over a month to January 10th. So on January 10th, that will be the residents' last day to put out debris. On the 11th, the final pass will begin. And as a part of that process, there will be what they call closeout. So the debris monitor will follow the debris trucks, and they will make a drive down that street after that debris truck says they are complete, and then they will close out that street, meaning the street is clear of debris. After they do that for the entire parish, they will give that report to us. So once the street is closed out, if someone calls and says, hey, that my debris wasn't picked up, more than likely that debris was put out after the street was closed out. So we are encouraging residents to get your debris out by the 10th. Unfortunately, after that, residents will have to get a dumpster as they normally would under our current ordinances for the demolition project, or they will have to have their contractor remove the debris from the job. Ida sheltering. I want to pull something up here on my computer here. Okay, so to date, there have been a total of 18,000 people who have registered for a trailer. Not all of those people will get a trailer, and this, I should preface that this is for all of the parishes that were that had damage. So this just isn't St. Charles Parish. But to date, in Southeast Louisiana, 5,322 people have been sheltered through the state's Ida sheltering program. That is through 2,707 deployed units. St. Charles Parish specifically, we have 244 deployed units, deployed trailers, and we have 220 that are leased in. So remember, they have to go through a cleaning and then make sure that they're hooked up properly. Nothing, the electrical, the sewer, and all that good stuff is hooked up properly before the resident is handed the key to occupy that trailer. At the group site that we have, there's currently 32 trailers leased in. We see that number growing each day. Let's see. I think that's it on here. Again, the state and FEMA are overseeing this. So if someone does register through idasheltering.com and they've already registered through FEMA, which we have encouraged people to register through FEMA, they will have to tag that FEMA number on their Ida sheltering application and vice versa, just to make sure that FEMA and the state both know who's getting a trailer, no one gets two trailers, that type of thing. So that is ongoing. We look forward to making sure all of our residents get a trailer. There is a big push right now to get people in trailers before Christmas. So over on Public Works, there was some asphalt repairs on Griffin Lane. I know it's been a while since we kind of did a Public Works update, so we just wanted to bring you all a couple of things that are going on. Asphalt repair on Griffin Lane, on Terrace Street in New Sarpy. We've been doing some ditch sweeping. We're seeing a couple areas where debris has sat in ditch, heavy debris that's kind of messed up the cross section of the ditches, or maybe when machinery has messed it up, taking that debris out. So we're kind of going through the parish and identifying areas that just need a little bit of improvement. And then we worked on a big project on Paul Mallard. We were able to add, I guess, I don't know, Mike, what do you call those wings off the side of the road?
The turning radius.
Yeah, so add some extra turning radius on Paul Mallard Road, and we were able to improve some drainage there while we had that ground open. If you recall, there's been a couple of accidents here with large 18-wheelers that have flipped over. All right, next. SCP Report It is back up and running. GIS has been working to improve the system. It has a new look. It looks a lot cleaner. I know on our initial kind of release of it, there were some issues with addresses populating. We've gone back and made some improvement to that, allowing residents to type out their full address if they don't see it on that drop-down menu. If you need a trash can replacement, street light outages, debris pickup, and various other things that you can report on there, you are able to go back on SCP Report It, and that'll send us an email, and we will be able to address it. On the issue of streetlights, I spoke to our contractor around a couple of hours ago. If you recall, we had 750 streetlights that were identified that we were able to fix. That's those metal street poles or streetlights. Of the 750, 500 have been fixed. So they're doing well. They're working 12 hours a day to speed it up. Obviously, that's weather permitting. And they are thinking, weather permitting, the next 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be able to finish the last 250 of those streetlights. The good news is that the shipment of 200 fixtures that we were worried about coming in were able to come in on time. So they're able to get those out. And all of these streetlights are being replaced with a LED fixture. So a lot more resilient and reliable, and is more energy efficient. Let's see. Oh, let me just make a quick note on streetlights. You don't have to go back. Okay. We have the wooden street poles too, and a lot of our older neighborhoods have those wooden street poles, and there's a lot of those out as well. You all know this. I made an update to the parish through Facebook earlier. A lot of those, or all of the wooden street poles belong to Entergy. Entergy's electrical wires run on the top of it, so we are not allowed to touch it for obvious safety reasons. Entergy has a contractor. They also use their own employees to fix the streetlights. I'm trying to get an exact count of how many of those streetlights are out, but I think it's probably more than the 750 that we have out, just because I think the majority of the parish has those wooden poles. They are issuing a contract to several contractors to help come in and speed that process along. But I know that they had backlogged streetlights even before the storm hit. So we're going to work with them to help them identify streetlights. And when our contractor comes to us and says, hey, we've repaired everything, we're going to go audit the parish again to make sure that there was nothing else that was done. The same thing with these wooden street poles, because when we say it's fixed, we want to make sure they're all fixed. So I just wanted to include that. I hope to come back with a little bit better of a timeline when Entergy gives me one on the wooden streetlights, or the wooden poles that streetlights are on. Okay, the toy and gift. A big thank you to everybody who participated this year. It was a great event, and we were able to open the event to all children in St. Charles Parish, ages infant to 16 years old. And thanks to a number of sponsors this year, it was a huge success. Our RSVP volunteers, we want to thank them. They're always there to set up and run the event. The Rotary Club, the Busy Bees, Oxy, Hawnville Interact Club, the St. Charles Parish School System, St. John the Baptist Church. Valero is a huge participant in this event, and they were able to cook jambalaya for all of the people who came through. The United Way, Toys for Tots, the Times Picayune Toy and Gift, and we had so many St. Charles Parish employees who helped get this set up. And then we want to issue just a special thank you to the Gail Benson Foundation, who came in and made a generous donation that allowed our children in the parish to select more than one toy at this event. We have toys left over that will be used for next year. And we'll probably be able to open it up maybe in perpetuity for all of the residents in St. Charles Parish. So we look forward to growing that event, and thanks to everybody who participated. Really quick, just job openings. We have carpenter, equipment operator number 1, number 2, grass cutter, groundskeeper, laborers, and shop mechanic helper available. So if you would like to apply, you can either call 985-783-5000 and speak to the personnel office, or you can go to our website, stcharlesparish.gov, click on employment, and you'll see ways to apply.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. We have a question, Mr. Fisher.
Matt, the energy, is that going to include some of the old Bell South AT&T poles that need to be replaced?
You know, I'll have to make a note and get back to you on that. You're talking about poles that are in the ground right now that are no longer being used for anything?
No, some of them had lights and transformers on them, and, they co-share that. But, a lot of them, most of the damage in like New Sarpy and part of Norco were AT&T poles that had been there for 30 years. But some of those poles, the lights are just completely missing off. Is Energy going to go back and put a light back on that pole?
Yeah, let me I would assume that Entergy probably wouldn't put a light on someone else's pole, but I will try to track that down. I wasn't actually aware of that, but I do know there are a lot of people who've come to me and said, there was a light here, it's completely missing.
Right.
We have GIS locations on every single light, whether it's wooden or metal, and that will help us when we go to put things back. We'll be able to pull up, hey, yes, there was a light here, and we'll work with whatever agency we can to get it back up.
Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the debris pickup, is that that deadline is also for state debris collection, or is that inclusive of everything?
Yeah, so state, I believe they have switched with us too. The state we've been coordinating with the state. So when our deadline was December 5th, their deadline was also December 5th. And then when we moved, they have also moved their deadline. So to my knowledge, to this day, I think they've picked up over 200,000 yards of debris, and we're well over 1.2 million. So we're getting close to that 1.5 number that they kind of settled on. But Mike has been in touch with the state on the state debris, so if you have any questions on state roads.
Do you know how many trucks are still running in the parish? Or
I think last time I checked, we had about 17 trucks running. And to my knowledge, we haven't lost anyone to like Kentucky or anywhere else that experienced the tornadoes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jewell.